It's starting.
There it is.
We're on. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 87 of Mirrorless Minutes. Mike, believe it or not, his surroundings look completely different.
Yeah,
but he's at home.
I am.
What's going on back there, dude?
Yeah, it's a whole renovation situation. This has been planned for years in my head, at least. Maybe no one else knew that. But in my head, I wanted it all cleaned up. And so I went crazy. If any of you watching or ever go to the Container Store, you know exactly the problem that you have when you go to there, that you can't walk out. And if you've never been there, go there sometime or check them out online. It's just crazy. And then they sell this system. It's called the Alpha system. And it's really cool because all you do is hang above here. You don't see there's one strip across the whole back wall, and all these things just hang from it. You don't screw any of these standards into the walls or anything. Everything holds together on itself. So
basically, as you join the pieces together, it's just kind of making it more rigid and more stable.
That's exactly it. It makes it, and the more weight you put on it and things you put on it, it's better off. But yeah, so look, I got to say, I'll lean across all my OMD series across here. There's all the Tough series. There's all the film.
Nice. You got your water bottle
and
up
then here. Yeah, that's the Pro Lens table. Nice. Old stuff on a Polaroid camera over at my mom's house. I had to take.
Very cool.
But there's the 360 shelf.
Yeah, holy cow.
And then let's see, so filters, flashes, and down here is the drone shelf. That's hard to see, but what I really like out of all this is right here. Like I'm putting together I'm going to go out Sunday, I think, and shoot with Lou, but like a nice table just to work on, like to build kits. You know?
Oh yeah.
And then some drawers and crap. And then what you don't see back here is my printer's finally up here. It's always been downstairs. It's just, this wall is just, you could go crazy on this kind of crap. So, cool. But it's, yeah. And before anybody says anything, I mean, yeah, I got a couple bags, yeah, whatever, sometimes, we do review a couple bags too, right, Jamie? I mean, sometimes they sort of get there.
That's funny. I showed Becky that, my wife, and I'm trying to, so behind the banners here is my wife, and I share this room. So she's a crafter. So she does sewing and she does like all different kinds of crafts. And I'm trying to find a way to like move my stuff back there so that I can face this direction where all my stuff is sitting. Mm-hmm. But then that would leave her like this much room for her stuff. She's not having it.
She's not having any of that.
So
no, I think I got this room quick enough because the other two rooms, I know my wife, we already got one redone. She's saying you ain't getting that other one.
She's actually asked me if I would consider some of the home improvement stores like Lowe's and all that. They sell like a shed, but they have these giant ones that are huge. They're like 2 stories.
Yeah.
Can get insulated walls, and she's like, have you ever thought about making just like a little private office outside? And I'm like,
outside?
No, I'm not walking through the snow to go to my office.
Yeah, and I could just see how cold it would be. If you didn't, you'd have to really put some heat into it. I think
if we lived in California,
it'd
be a no-brainer, but not in Michigan.
No, I think that. Oh my gosh, I could imagine what that would be like. Yeah,
I can't.
Wind howling and stuff. That'd be probably pretty cool. Mirrorless Minutes, please.
There might be episodes that get canceled if that were the case. Yeah,
exactly.
Jamie texted me and said he's not going outside, you guys. So
he's not going outside for the show.
So we got some stuff to talk about. Pretty cool stuff. In the title or description or whatever, I kind of alluded to the fact that we're doing the Visionary Summit again. It's not like it was canceled or anything like that. Normally we go in November. This year they changed things up a bit, which is really cool. I'm really excited about this. I know you are, and I know some of the viewers are pretty excited as well. So normally we go in November, and this is when Mike and I offer out this this little opportunity, I guess, for people who watch the show, listen to the podcast, to reach out to us with questions to bring to Olympus, because again, we have the opportunity to sit down and we talk to, it could be engineers, software engineers, hardware developers, executives at Olympus, on and on, a lot of different opportunity to relay your feedback to them. So with that being said, if you feel like reaching out to Mike or I, via any means necessary, it could be a Facebook message, it could be an email, it could be in a Facebook group, you could hand deliver a message, carrier pigeon. I don't care. You reach out to us however you feel like with questions. We'll try to put them together and present them to Olympus when we're at the summit. So I got that out of the way. The summit itself. You want to talk about the summit, where we're going? I'll let you do this because you have way more experience with where we're headed than I do.
Yeah, well, a little bit. I've definitely been there a few times. I can tell you that. But yeah, so this is the first year. Am I right that it's never been like at the headquarters a little bit? Or
that's correct.
I mean, I don't have they always been New York then headquarters?
No. So the first couple of years that I did the Visionary Summit, we literally just flew straight in and went to Pennsylvania and spent all of our time in the Bethlehem, Center Valley area.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So they've always been though the last couple of days for sure at the headquarters.
Yeah.
And this year the show's hitting the road across the entire country into San Francisco. Wow. I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, first off, I can imagine just from my own experience and my own job trying to move everything that you normally would do at headquarters. Now you've got to get it done out there. And I'm sure things will be a little different, but still it's a lot. I mean, you've got logistics, you've got people, who's going to be there. It's really easy at the headquarters because everybody's there working for the day.
Exactly.
They can pop into a meeting with us, but here they're going to have to be out there.
Yeah.
And then, it's, to me, it's like going to a conference in Vegas, a salesperson's conference, we'll say, and nobody goes to the meetings because they always want to go gamble.
Yeah.
So now we're in San Francisco and I can see everybody's trying to skate away from certain meetings or something. I'm going to go shoot.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's really not a good place to bring photographers because that's all they'll want to do.
No, it's a great
I know it's a great place. Yeah. We should always be there.
We can't let them hear that.
But yeah, it is really going to be a blast. I mean, and we're right down in the heart of the city, right next to the Transamerica building, 2-3 steps away.
Right.
It's hard to even say. There's so much to do in San Francisco. I think, God, what could we do this time? You could do just something different every different time. And, we got the workshop coming up this year. I do with Derek in San Francisco again, our 5th one, and it's completely changed again.
That's wild.
So it just continues to change because there's so much to do. So as a photographer, I know we're flipping extremely happy. And it's been a long time since we've been back because usually we're used to once a year, and we extended that by 3 months?
Yeah.
3 months or so. So it feels like it's been forever seeing all the Visionary family.
Right. Yeah, definitely different experience. Yeah. I'll tell you my first Visionary Summit that I attended, first year in the program, we were supposed to go in November, like always as planned.
Oh, really?
And then Hurricane Sandy came through.
Oh, that's right.
And it made it far enough into Pennsylvania that it was a mess, and Center Valley and the Bethlehem, that region. Yeah. So they postponed it, and I think we went in February.
That's right. I remember you saying something about that because that's when we first started talking, and it sounded nuts. And I know what it did to our stores out there.
Right.
It was really bad. So, but it's a little different.
Yeah, and you mentioned something too. You talked about. It's a lot to put together a trip when you're going to like your home base, and like you said, it's easy to control things that way. It's orders of magnitude harder when you're bringing people into the other side of the country where you don't have like a stable, like home base maybe to work from. And then you add what's happening this year to that.
Yeah. Why don't you go into that a little bit?
I'm so excited. Like I literally feel like a little kid who wants to clap. I'm that excited. So this year, Olympus is doing something completely different. Let me just kind of preface with something that happened last year around this time in the spring. So last year in the spring, Olympus has historically sponsored this event in Whistler, British Columbia that I was lucky enough to go to a couple of years ago. And then last year, they kind of changed things up again. And rather than having like a press event, they brought in influencers, people, with big social accounts. Our buddy Mark Miller was lucky enough to attend that. Nam Ing was there. Mason Morris. There a whole group of people. Joe DeFlorio. A lot of people we know were invited to go to British Columbia to this thing. Yeah. And I think what happened at that event was really important to Olympus, the way I think everything worked out. I think that they saw that it was a great thing to do to bring in not just influencers, but people who are, you know, Olympus users.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because they're not like they're not. I mean, in the level of Steve Huff or Derek Story.
Well, those guys aren't necessarily just influencers,
right?
They're press,
right?
So,
they're press. It's not like that. These guys are guys that are really just using Olympus. I mean, you know, and that's what's so cool about it. And I agree with you.
Yeah, it's not like they brought like a Casey Neistat or somebody like that.
Right.
Yeah, like just YouTubers.
Exactly.
Or big, huge Instagram accounts, regardless of what they use. So they saw the benefit from that. And then this year, what they decided to do is, instead of bringing influencers, because there are a lot more people that are just fans of the equipment, fans of the system. Right. So there are people that kind of stand out because they're just really involved in the community, you know, and they participate in all the different Olympus Facebook groups, and they're active on Instagram and Twitter, and they're just sharing all their work. And so internally somewhere at Olympus, somebody coined the term super fans, because that's what they are. You know, they're excited about the equipment. So what they did this year is they're bringing 10 super fans to San Francisco, and their time there will overlap with ours. They arrive, I think, a day before us and leave like a day or two before we do. So we have this time where we're all together there. And I'm not going to name names because I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, because I know that some people probably are waiting till they get there so they can say, hey, look at what I'm doing, you know, because it's a big freaking deal. I mean, it's exciting. And I'm excited for it as much as
I was just going to say, we're excited, and
just to get
just so many of them are always have been great followers of Mirrorless Minutes too.
And that's
what's really cool.
It's funny that you mentioned that, you know, that I think, I don't know if anybody that is going is not a Mirrorless Minutes subscriber or watcher, which is cool. It's cool. I mean, I'm blushing because it's, I don't know. I'm trying to find the right words. It's pretty powerful experience. It's humbling to know that that they chose all these people, and that they also just happen to be people that follow what we do. And that just shows you further. And I'm hoping that there are people that are not Olympus users watching, that this shows you just how cool this community is.
Right.
And I'm not just saying just the Mirrorless Minutes community, because we know we're cool, and everybody that watches us are great people, but the Olympus community as a whole is different than any other system. And I hear it over and over from people that switch. They come and they're like, man, this is just like hanging out with a bunch of friends all the time. You guys
are not so elitist. I mean, just from the old days of shooting that, you know, brand started with the N, ends with an N. Everybody's like, boy, they just don't even want to let you in. They don't want to tell you secrets. They don't want to tell you what this setting is, what that setting is, especially if you're just picking it up. And I think that's where Olympus is the best, because I love helping the people that are just starting, because you just fun to see them get excited. You know, this is a little bit like the San Francisco thing is a little bit how it feels too out of Chicago when we're there. Because like those people are coming for other reasons, but then all of a sudden you're going, oh, you're the person that I'm talking to all the time. And that is so cool. I mean, I agree. I think that's real humbling there too.
Yeah.
Because I know we have a strong following that ends up going out of Chicago every year.
Yeah. So yeah. And it's like you said, you know, it's good to put like a physical person to the persona that is on the computer, you know, that you interact with online. And I just want to throw this out there that, you know, the people who are going, I know some of them had reservation about even talking about it, because they were afraid that there might be some sort of blowback, you know, that people are like, well, hey, I'm active, you know, how come I didn't get chosen for this? And just want to put it out there that this is not the only time something like this is going to happen. Yeah. There is like this initiative to keep our community like really strong and tight and fun, because that's kind of a big thing with this system too. I think it makes photography fun. All the features and the things you can do with these cameras, plus the fact that it's not work to carry your cameras, it makes it even more fun. But they understand that having this like really tight community is important. And I know I've been told that this is not the only time this is happening. So if you're active, or even, you know, have thought, you know, maybe I should share a little bit more work, or, you know, get a little more involved, do it. It's paying off for 10 people. 10 people are being flown to San Francisco 9 people. One guy happens to live there, so
yeah,
so he doesn't have a big trip to take.
He's going to drive to the airport and just drive in with.
Yeah, he's going to pretend that he flew in. You know, but for those other 9 people, you know, and some of these people haven't traveled in years or some ever like this, so it's a big deal. And if you're interested in stuff like this, again, be active. Just share your work. Just talk about what you're doing. Just be involved in the community.
I think that's really it, because if you look at all 10 people, and then even the ones at Whistler, again, I mean, they're not huge vloggers or they're just big, active in the community. So like you're let's say you're on EM1 Mark II enthusiasts, you know, our great Facebook group. I mean, you just get on and you talk, and it's not just about it's posting, but then it's interacting too. People like to see, how did you get that shot? Or you start to say, how did you get those shots? Even if you're new to it, there's a lot of people that I know a couple we've talked with that say, gosh, I don't do anything like you guys do, or go here. That's not what it's about. They're not looking for people that try to travel the world.
Right. Exactly. They've got Jay Dickman for that.
I was just going to say, they've got people for that.
They've got people that do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of the whole announcement about the Visionary Summit. And we're leaving actually next Friday. The people, the super fans, they're leaving next Thursday. So we're pumped. And if you're a subscriber, just kind of pay attention to your feeds, because I have a feeling there might be 2 like live broadcasts on the Mirrorless Minutes Facebook page. Or maybe we'll even get everybody together, or as many as we can, like in a hotel lobby, if there's time. You know, everything's time permitting, of course. And maybe do some sort of just a really brief Mirrorless Minutes on location from San Francisco. I don't know, but we won't go on and on talking about the summit. I know there's other things to talk about as well, but we just wanted to give you guys heads up. And again, extend the offer for those who have some sort of feedback that they'd like us to maybe relay to Olympus.
Right. Yeah.
So there's that. Can I address a question that popped up in the chat real quick?
Yeah. I'm just
okay. So Tom Singh asked. He said a few episodes back, I discussed possibly sharing how I customize my Olympus camera settings. You want to know if there's any update? I can give you a really quick one. I did a YouTube video about it, but I'll just go over it here in case you haven't seen the YouTube video. One of my favorite things to do, and if this is not answering your question, please feel free to reach out to me. Friend request me on Facebook, whatever you have to do, and I can answer you personally, directly. One of my favorite things that I do, and I've shared it with people, and they love doing it now too, is you can go into your picture mode. So if you're on the super control panel, it's going to be the top right corner, I believe, is your picture mode. And that's where you choose like natural or vivid or mute or whatever. You can go to your picture mode and set it to custom. And then you can select from that custom. You can have it be a monotone setting. And then, so this is just my, like, again, my quick favorite thing for black and whites is I set that picture mode to a custom mode, which is monotone. And then I go in and I take the contrast and I raise the contrast setting all the way up. And I raise the sharpness setting all the way up. And I set the filter, because you can do a color filter. And I set that to red. And the reason I do red is that I shoot a lot of landscape and outdoors. And if you set a red filter, when you're shooting black and white, your blue skies tend to just become like black or just extremely dark. It's a real contrasty, really moody look. So that's kind of a custom setting that I like to tell people. I save it to that, custom mode. And then if you shoot RAW plus JPEG, you're going to get a color RAW file, so you can do whatever you want with that. But you also get that black and white that is just off the hook cool. And the good thing is when you're in that mode, you're looking through the viewfinder in black and white. And then what you see is what you get. So what you see in the viewfinder is the JPEG that's finished at the end.
Yeah, and it's cool, if you're going to shoot people, like you say, you shoot a lot of landscape, you keep yours a red. Now I'll do mine because I like to get that high contrast too. I'll throw mine in with a yellow
or orange,
filter, and you're shooting people, and you can really sense it and see it, when there's a lot of heavy people traffic, San Francisco, New York. It really makes different faces stand out and pop out of the crowd that you don't expect. So yeah, you can do both ways. It's really, it's cool. It's, to do it like that.
If you're going to shoot people, don't do the red filter because their eyes end up really black. It looks like, unless you're doing the zombie thing, then go for it.
Yeah. You might want to do the zombie thing too. If you're shooting a zombie apocalypse, you might.
Right. So that's kind of that. Did you want to go over like some of the workshop news? Like
I can go over real quick, and I can tell you the best thing to tell you is that we'll have the links in the the show notes. But first off, our workshops, Atlanta. Okay, Atlanta has been like cooking along here, and people have been jumping in. There are only, I think there's only 4 spots left.
Yeah, it's going fast.
Yeah, check it out if you haven't. It is going to be tremendous. Today we rented. I got the van today to take. Remember, the biggest thing about this Atlanta thing is we wanted to make it easy on you. So if you had to fly into the airport, you're going to go to the airport. You can get on the train inside the airport. You never touch the outside, and the train drops you off at the darn hotel we're staying at inside Atlanta. Which is a marvelous photo architecture, crazy thing to begin with the hotel. So real simple. And we're going to take care of all the transportation for you. Jamie and I will be driving, and we'll take everybody around. So it'll be really nice. We're going to hit Old Car City. If you've heard of that before, it's the greatest, largest junkyard in all of America. Look it up, Old Car City. We're going to go over and hit Amicalola Falls. I hope I'm saying that right. Somebody from Atlanta tell me if I'm wrong. But all these places are within an hour and a half drive of Atlanta. And of course, on the first night, we're going to do live composite inside the city of Atlanta in the absolute, the best, to me, cityscape, ease of shooting over a bridge. This Freedom Parkway is just beautiful. You cannot escape the beauty. Everyone will walk away with great pictures from there. I don't care if you just started. I don't care if you bring an iPhone. It doesn't matter. You're going to walk away with amazing pictures from there. So Atlanta is going to be jam-packed. Lots of stuff. We got some couple surprises still coming in there. And I'm sure we're going to have hopefully some swag prizes that we'll do. But that's in May. Now I got to remember here, Jamie. May, when are we doing it? May 18th, 19th. Yeah, okay. Thank you. That's it. 18th, 19th, 20th. And then I've got another one I'm doing with Lou Peoples, who is like the Cleveland Whisperer. He works, his offices in Cleveland. He doesn't go there all the time, but Lou knows the city of Cleveland. We're going to do a short one night. It was really meant for local. When I say local, maybe Detroit, Cleveland for sure, Columbus, Ohio, Toledo, fantastic. Drive into Cleveland. We've got some great spots picked out. Drive out 10 o'clock. You're done with the workshop. Simple. You don't have to stay over. I'm going to stay over, and anybody that does stay over, I'm offering the next morning. Let's do a sunrise somewhere. Cool. And we'll figure that out. But and then the last one is San Francisco, and not our summit, but Derek Story and I are doing the San Francisco workshop. And all I'd say is go hit the link and sign up on the reserve list. You don't have to sign up for the workshop. You get on the reserve list. Derek does a little bit different, and then he sends you out the information, which I think is coming out next Monday. And first in line gets first in. And 5 years straight, we've sold out. 2 instructors, we don't let in more than 8, if I'm not mistaken. So it's tiny. It's a tiny workshop, and you get unbelievable 3 full days in San Francisco. And Derek really knows the area because Derek lives near there and his whole life. So he definitely knows the area. So that's what's going on right now. I know we'll have more as time permits here in the future. I know you're going to have some stuff in the fall. Yep. Might have another one in the summer. So I think just check the links. We'll say that.
Yeah, that's your best bet.
Don't wait too long, because workshops are a blast. And if you really want to make a change in your photography, invest in yourself and see what you can do.
It's a good investment. And just join up. I can't even talk now.
Mirrorless Adventures.
Yeah, just sign up with the Mirrorless Adventures meetup groups. Go to meetup.com/Mirrorless Adventures, and you can sign up there and be notified of the future workshops that are coming up, or register for the ones that Mike is doing, that I am doing, that Mike and I are doing together, that Mike and Lou are doing together. That, like last year when Mark Miller and I did
when you and Mark,
etc. Right. And I about lost it cracking up laughing when you said that we would be driving in Georgia. And I laughed because I did a workshop with Mark in the fall. And there were 2 instances where we had to make a U-turn. and of course I was navigating. Right. I wasn't driving. I was navigating. I was giving the directions, but I messed up putting coordinates in my phone and basically flipped the directions so that I was telling us to go where we already were from where we were supposed to be going. So every time we got driving, it said, turn around, go back to basically where you were. So I thought it was funny because I know one of our workshop attendees in Georgia was also an attendee on that workshop.
Oh, that's right.
And I was thinking to myself, is Brian laughing right now because you said that we were both driving? So he's probably thinking, don't let Jamie navigate.
Well, and just an inside joke, Brian, if you remember, I coached his daughter for years on our basketball team that I coached, and I led many of people astray on directions going to the next gym. So Brian probably remembers these two idiots are driving. I better bring a better Google Maps with me.
Yeah, I hope we're not scaring potential attendees away. Trust me, we'll get you to the place.
Actually, I think it's pretty good, right? Because the traffic in Atlanta, we're not spending a lot of time in Atlanta, because if we did, we would never get more than 10 miles. So that's why we got to go outside of Atlanta.
Right. That's hilarious. So I am obviously unable to, I'm typing around my microphone. So if I'm looking down, I'm not ignoring anybody. So the next thing I think that we'll probably talk about is maybe we can do like an image share. Do you want to do an image share?
Yeah, let's do it. I could go real quick. I don't have, let's see. Boom. There it is. And do you see it?
Yes, sir.
I just had to show my old room. That's it. It's not a picture I want to talk about. That's before and after. Okay. So Spencer's going to make an appearance, at least for the first year of his life, on the show every week, I think. Mirrorless camera. This is with an iPhone, but just this little guy, our multi-poo's 7-8 months old, is just the cutest darn dog. And when he gets out into the snow, I don't know what he does, but he burrows into the snow and throws it up and tries to eat it, and he'll stay out there as long as you let him. So I couldn't resist that shot there. This one, though, inside a coat, he's so tiny, he fits inside a coat. My wife actually is wearing my coat. She's probably thinking, gosh, why are you making me wear such a big coat? But this is with the 25, the EM1 Mark II and the 25 millimeter. Just a really cool shot, and trying to come up with some different ideas to capture him. Then really the only thing I've been doing for a while is I went out to Columbus to visit my son, who is a varsity basketball coach. And then as I was driving, it's snowing everywhere. And, I've been into 360 photography a little bit. I saw this great court with no one had treaded onto the snow on this basketball court. So I had to pull over, waded through probably about 8 inches of snow in my tennis shoes, which you can't tell there, to get that darn thing out to the center of the court to do the 360. And then just went ahead and make it all black and white. Just a different, 360 really opens up your creativity. So that's a lot of fun. These next three, though, I just want to talk about was the basketball game. And we got posting these on Facebook. Maybe some of you have seen them. If you're following us, you probably have. But I just tell you, I was right underneath the basket, probably 3-4 feet away, actually, from the basket. So on top of these players. But, shooting with the EM1 Mark II and Pro Capture. This is with the 40 to 150. Backed out all the way to 40 millimeters, of course, because he was coming in fast. But just the clarity, the eyes. This is shot at 3200 ISO. Man, and I'll tell you, if you ever have to deal with gym lights, it's always an issue. So, just a great job here. I was really happy with the camera and how it reacted that night. I want to show you 3 different lenses, and this is one I don't think a lot of people always think about to use, and that is the 1.8 fisheye. This is a great lens for this kind of stuff. If you can get down on the ground, just as if you would if you were covering a big NCAA game or an NBA game, those guys are sitting on the ground. If I go do a high school game, I'm usually sitting there alone, so it's not a big deal. But get down on the ground, get some of the logo as you see here, on the baseline, to get the school's logo in on there, and just wait for the action to come. And with you hit Pro Capture, you're gonna be doing some great work. And you capture both sides of the action, the people, everybody running, and I just love these shots from down low like that with that fisheye. So if you're always thinking about, I don't know what to use a fisheye for, here's a good one right there if you shoot sports. And then the last one, this is with the 25 millimeter 1.2, a little bit closer right there on the court, and just clarity again. Now this one was able to get down to 1600 ISO in the same lighting conditions. So that's what that 1.2 does for you. And it always helps when you got players that like to make a big deal about their facial expressions going into the basket. And I shouldn't say much about him. He scored 32 points that night.
Wow.
So the dude was on fire. So I'm sure he's loving those pictures too. But yeah, that's it. Those basketball pictures were some of the best ones I've gotten lately with Pro Capture. You know, and the lenses, I mean, that 25, I didn't always pull it out, but when I threw it on and I got down to 1600 ISO, I go, I've got to use this. You know, I mean, you're getting clarity that you don't normally get, and it's shooting at 500 of a second. So,
right. So, maybe for shooting sports down the road.
Yeah.
What do you think about like the 17 and the 45?
Yeah, I think that's
so like it'd be a good mix. 17 moderately wide, 45 probably from half court in, maybe.
Yeah, in fact that 45. If I went back and I looked, somebody had asked me something about that 45 because they said, "What did you normally shoot on your 40 to 150 that night?" So I went back because I took 800 shots that night, and which is really easy to do in Pro Capture.
Yeah, really quick.
But as I went through, I will tell you, there were, I mean, of the ones used the 4150, I'm going to say 30 to 40% were within that 40 to 50 range.
Yeah.
So I actually think I could shoot a game with all primes, which is just that's crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. One body with the 45, one with the 17.
Yeah. And just keep walking around, especially high school, because you're not, you know, nobody's saying get out of here, you're press and you can't be here.
Yep.
Every parent loves it. And they're coming after you. Hey, did you get pictures of my son? You know?
Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely.
Tammy wants to know really quick if you kept your white balance on auto, or did you make adjustments?
I did.
Yep.
I did the whole time.
I kind of thought so.
The whole time. Now I do go set it, but I usually pull it off the white jerseys. I'll usually pull off the home team's jerseys
and set your white balance in post and Lightroom post for the whole lot.
And then I do it right. I'll do it with one fairly well developed picture, looks good, and then I'll hit the whole lot and leave it at that. Unless something goes wacky on one, you know, because it's crazy with that Pro Capture. And I don't know if anybody's shot sports and they could have seen this, but when you're in the old gyms with the flickering vapor lights, you're a light guy, Jamie.
Yeah, I know how this works.
Those things you'll actually get to see the flicker as you're holding down
depending on
Pro Capture. Like my eyes were going, what am I seeing? And you don't see it in the picture, obviously, but there's different levels of light on every picture because of that.
Oh, yeah. And depending on when you start your Pro Capture sequence going, you might be in phase with it. And I've shot a series where everything looks like it's dark. Yeah. Because the refresh rate happening is in sequence with the flicker of the lights. And you're like, oh, my God, like everything I just did is black. And then you start looking like, oh, wait, maybe it's not.
When I was starting and I was, you know, it needs to be known, I was messaging Jamie like I was all pissed about something with Pro Capture. That's what was happening too. I think everything was dark. I'm going, what is going on? Yeah. Why is this all dark? Then I realized I was in that old gym. That's what it was.
No, definitely kind of a freaky thing to have to contend with. All right.
So what do you got?
Again, I always feel weird doing photo shares just because I know a lot of people that watch probably follow us on Facebook. So I feel like I'm regurgitating the same content over and over again, but I'm always hoping that there's someone watching that doesn't, so they can see, you know, what I've kind of been out doing. So live in Michigan and it's been winter. It's been cold. So I went the other week with my buddy Jerry James and my buddy Rick Kefgen and my other friend Mark Miller, and we all kind of like met up and did this whole West Michigan shoot. So again, I apologize for the constant lighthouse photos that I seem to do, but it's just one of those good things to do here in Michigan. So we went to the Lake Michigan shoreline because we knew that everything was starting to freeze up, and it was ridiculously cold that day, and the wind was just howling cold. I can't even explain. It's probably 35 mile an hour consistent winds, and it didn't even really let up the entire time. So we went out there and it was really tough to kind of shoot just because it was so cold. And actually, I think when I was out shooting this, Mark and Rick had said, forget it. And they went back to the car and just kind of left me out there because it was so cold. But This is shot with actually all of my shots in the winter here that I'll be sharing are shot with the EM1 Mark II and the 12-100. And it's important that I mention that combo simply because of the fact it was so windy and so hard to be steady that I think the dual sync image stabilization just completely saved my life. So I don't know. There's just something about that combo that's just indispensable for me. So this is the Grand Haven Lighthouse, single shot, not an HDR or anything like that. It's just that there is so much contrast between the white in the snow and the ice, the red and the lights, and then we had this bad weather that's moving in off of the lake that just gave you the dark skies. So just a really fun favorite shot of mine. And while we were there, I kind of finished up shooting, and then my buddy Jerry James shows up to shoot with us, and we were all done. So this is a shot of Jerry looking out at the lighthouse before he decided to wander out and do a little shooting. We waited around to let him shoot. But one of the things I love to do, and I think everybody should do this if you're on a workshop working with people or a photo walk or something, just get some good shots of your friends or your fellow photographers out there in their element. It's always fun to be able to give somebody a photo, that just kind of shows them in the moment, and this was Jerry. I think he was probably debating, man, do I really want to go out there if these guys are already done? And, he's a trooper, so he did. He just said, forget it, I'm going out. He went out solo by himself to get a few shots, and I just kind of hung back and just captured this shot of him just before he headed out there. And you can see in the image in front of Jerry, you can see all this looks like fog. It's actually snow blowing across the beach and out into the channel here that empties out into Lake Michigan. It was bitter. And we left from there and went further north along the Lake Michigan shoreline to Muskegon, Michigan. And this is Pier Marquette Beach in Muskegon. And there's another lighthouse there, completely different style, obviously, from the look of this. And this is just basically waves pushing snow and ice up against the pier where it's mounded up with ice. And it just kind of blasts over the top of the pier. The next couple of shots, I do this just to show you scale of things. So you can see on the left where the ice and everything is being blasted over the pier. And what you can't tell from this picture is that is probably 10 or 15 feet up in the air, that blast or that spray of ice. And Jerry had been out there 24 hours prior to us being there. Or maybe it was just a little bit longer, like maybe 2 nights before. Maybe it was just a night before. I'd have to ask him. But anyways, he was out there within less than 2 days of when we were out there. And when he was out there, you could see cement on this pier. And right now in this photo, there was probably 5 feet of snow and ice on that. So literally in a day and a half, that much weather and insanity had occurred out there to pile it up. Next shot, again, I like being able to do this. And everybody I shoot with, we all kind of do this for each other, just kind of create these, fun pictures of each other shooting. So this is Mark Miller, again, shooting out there on that pier, and Mark shooting with the M1 Mark II and the 40-150. We all shot with long lenses that day because we couldn't get super close, and some people stayed way further back because the weather was so rough and violent out there. And if you look to the left-hand side of the image, you can see me in the front here in the tan jacket, Jerry James in orange, and Mark Miller in the blue. And in front of me, you can see just how high those waves were kicking snow and ice and debris up over the mounded ice on the pier there. I'm not tall by any stretch of the means. I'm like 5'6", but if you stack me up a couple of times, you can see that we're getting up over 15 feet of blast right here in front of me. And I'm in front of those guys because they were telling me, okay, go up on that mound that I'm standing on there and just take some pictures so we can shoot pictures of you shooting. And what you can't tell is that there are actually waves breaking similar to this right where I was at, getting me completely soaked, and again, I just kind of annotated this one so you could kind of see just how big these waves were there. It was pretty intense stuff. But it's fun, it's just it's one of those things where I tell people constantly that you can't shoot these things from your couch. You kind of just have to go do it. And that was literally, I think, on a Friday I threw it out on Facebook, you know, and said, hey, I'm taking off to the west side of the state, you know, and then I messaged Mark and my buddy Rick, and I'm like, hey, do you guys want to head over to the west side of the state and let's do this? You know, it's going to be cold. It's going to be icy and miserable. Who wants to go? And then I've got crazy friends, you know, and actually, so this shot, the photo of us out on the ice, I have to give Rick the credit for it. This is Rick Kefgen's photo. Rick probably smart and said, I'm not going out there like you nut jobs. And he stayed way back. And I think he's shooting with the 75 to 300 on, I'm not sure which body. It's either the EM1 or the EM1 Mark II. And he's zoomed in at 300 millimeters, I'm pretty sure, on this. So you can see we're a long ways away from shore if he's at 300 millimeters. But
that picture, man, that one with you guys standing, I love, you should leave the word me in there all the time. Because that gives you a real sense of what that wave.
It was bonkers.
Wave is, because you don't get a sense that lighthouse just standing there. I mean, looking at the picture, you don't get the sense
of the scale
that thing is, and just the waves.
And another thing too, like, so I'm standing on that mound taking the pictures, and they're like, no, don't stand there. You look like a dork, you know, look cooler. And I'm like,
look cooler.
Okay. So like I kneel down and I'm kneeling and I'm shooting, you know, and I'm like, and I'm just getting pounded by water and ice. And it's literally this like pelting, man. Like, you guys done? And nobody can hear because it's windy.
Yeah.
So I'm finally like, okay, they have to have gotten the shots by now. So I stand up and I start walking back, another just big bam, you know, and they're like, oh my God, dude, half of where you were just standing is gone. It just went back into the water. I'm like,
oh, gee, wow, nice.
Okay. Let's not talk to my wife about what just happened here.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Wow.
But it's fun. And Tammy asked really quick. So where did I meet her on this image, the snow or the lighthouse? You're talking about the one with the 2 lighthouses or the one with the single? If it's either one, I guess it really doesn't matter if I tell you where I meet her, because they were both probably done basically the same way. And then generally what I do is I meet her off of the sky, and I end up with a little bit darker of an image, and nothing I shoot is straight out of camera, folks, unless it's one of those black and whites. Okay. So the single lighthouse she wanted to know about, I was probably pretty much either shooting straight ahead, and I focus on or meet her on the sky with auto exposure lock, and then I'll come back and then I'll shoot a few frames. And I'll be honest, I don't remember for a fact how I did that one, because generally, like, I'll shoot the same scene with 4 or 5 different compositions, and I'll meet her a little bit different for each one. But no matter where I would have metered on this shot, it wouldn't have been a straight out of camera image. So I definitely post process. And I'm sorry, I talk a lot, I get excited, but I'm going to mention something that you and I talked about before we go, because we're running long. Speaking of the fact that I don't do anything straight out of camera, everything I do is processed, and it's like it's a thing for me. People are always asking, well, how do you handle this? How do you do this? How did you work on that? How did you make this? You know, what do you suggest I do for this? What about that? It's hard to answer, because Mike and I get we get a lot of questions, and we answer as many as we can. And I think we're pretty darn good
on it, I think. Yeah.
But sometimes things slip through the cracks. If you have something you want to ask and you want to 100% guarantee it is not going to slip through the cracks, become a Patreon subscriber.
All right. Good segue.
Yeah. And don't just, and you can't subscribe at like the $1 level.
Yeah.
Let me open up our Patreon page, and I'm going to tell you at which level. Hold on. Geez, Jamie, get your stuff together here. So what I want to say is, let me just open up our Patreon page. So if you go to patreon.com/mirrorless minutes and you become a patron at least the $6 a month, which is basically just the 3rd level. It's cheap.
It's a coffee.
It's a cup of coffee, man. It's literally what I call it. 2 cups of Joe, get you double the fun. It's going to get you more than double the fun now. Right. So here's the thing. If you become a member of the $6 a month club on Patreon and support us on Patreon at that level, Mike and I are going to put together a secret group for Patreon subscribers and supporters. And in that group, you get priority access over anybody else we deal with. And we deal with a lot of people. So you're getting put in front of a lot of people. And if you have questions, they'll get answered there. And
it's on anything. I mean, on top of most of it's photography. We realize that, but in all seriousness, you want to know, like, about shelving, what you did in the room, or because I've got a lot of questions on that already. Or
sure,
or what is Jamie wearing out to stay warm, even though you probably weren't that warm.
I was fine.
but you do have a special coat,
yeah,
and I'm positive you probably got special boots that you're wearing out there and everything. So these are the kind of things that we want to make special for the group of those people that want to keep us. I don't want to say want to keep us on the air. Obviously, we've been doing it, but it sure is help. There's expenses that you wouldn't know. Just that meetup group costs hundreds of dollars a year to keep that meetup group going, and that's without doing anything. That's just having the group,
right? Yeah.
So, and, hosting and all the podcasting stuff. That all people are all earning money off of us. I'm positive.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah,
So like we said, if you want to subscribe at the $6 a month level, you're going to get added to that group. The group does not exist yet. It's something that Mike, in his infinite wisdom, messaged me today and said, "Hey, I got an idea. What do you think of this?" And I'm like, dude, of course we're on this. It's going to happen. So probably within the next couple of days, before the end of the weekend, guaranteed, that group will exist. And those of you who are already a contributor and supporter at that level, you're going to get the invite to that group, and you're in, and ask away. I won't give fashion advice because, man, I'll tell you what, I'm not Mr. Trendy, but if you want to know what I'm wearing, I'll tell you what I'm wearing. But if you want to pick our brains about a specific image, or, hey, I want your opinion on, I shot this, what would you do to it? Or what should I bring if I'm going here or there? We're here for you. But
one thing I'm going to mention before we go on that Atlanta workshop that we didn't really talk about is all those things you're talking about. Like, how did you set? We have huge classroom sessions as well in that workshop. It's not just running around the city taking pictures. We're going to be sitting in classrooms. So you want to learn Jamie's post-processing. You want to learn stuff I've done in the street or live composite. It's all going to be done inside classroom stuff too. So we're going to take a little break from walking, do some classroom stuff, head back out. So these are things you'll get in that last day. We have like 4 or 5 hours classroom. So you really get a chance to process and learn there as well. So I'll leave it at that.
It's a good way to end the show. Definitely. There's a lot of information that we kind of dumped out there tonight, you guys. So maybe download the audio version, and put it on half play speed and listen to me talk like this, so you can get everything in. But thanks for tuning in, you guys. We love y'all. And remember, be a supportive fan, not just for us, but, rep your Olympus brand a little bit. It's definitely paying off for 10 people near to us in the upcoming couple of weeks here. So with that, take care, you guys.
See you later, everybody.